Star Power.
Stay tuned because you know Reec is going to have one of your favorite stars with him today.
Stay tuned.
That's right, man. We are back at it live on the radio. Of course, we are broadcasting live right here from Media Campus West. We have another special guest in the building. This young lady has been doing her thing when it comes to the world of real estate, investing, and then teaching others how to get to that bag too. So we want to, without further ado, introduce her to you guys. We got Dr.Jamisa Bennet, or Bennet, or Bennett in the building. I feel like you know when you got doctor in front of it, you gotta say Bennet.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am excited to be here. We are kicking off Women's History Month in a very strong way. You got a good guest today.
Absolutely. Well, this is why you're on on the first of the month. We scheduled this thing perfectly. But without further ado, man, we got to get this thing we call the biggest intro ever because you have so many accolades. We got to share with our audience and make sure that they know, who they're listening to, especially for those on the mobile app that are tuned in and those on YouTube as well, watching the live stream at Facebook. All right, so you ready for your biggest intro ever?
I'm here. I am ready.
It's all about that star power.
Stay tuned because you know Reec is going to have one of your favorite stars with him today.
Stay tuned.
All right, right now we got the top prominent investors of the city of Philadelphia during Philadelphia's Real Estate Week. All right, been featured in Forbes Magazine, Entrepreneur, and Business Insider. We have all those magazines right here. She addressed NAACP seminar and recently has done a TED Talk in Atlanta. A God-fearing mother of four that holds almost 30 mortgage-free properties and counting. The founder of one of the most popular real estate investment courses in America, Dr.Jamisa Bennet, is in the building live on Reec Radio.
Is it vain to clap for myself? Because that was definitely
Nah, that's why we got the hype bell. You don't have to clap for you. We gonna clap for you. Yeah, we gonna clap for you. This show is about giving people their flowers as they bloom, and you definitely are blooming. So we want to make sure that you're represented the right way. It is Women's History Month, and you're definitely making history. Let's go ahead and talk about your journey a little bit, man. Like, how did you fall into real estate? I feel like you was in school selling candy. This is when it all started. Like, talk to me a little bit.
Man, no, actually, I had a job. I was 19, but I am the eldest of 10. So I have a lot of younger siblings.
Oh, wow.
Very responsible very early on. I make sure everybody's okay. Hey, what are you guys going to eat? What are you guys going to wear? Clean up that mess. Get things together. And that stood out to my grandmother because she was also someone that I took care of as well. So she was independent and she lived on her own. So I wasn't like changing diapers or anything, but I bought her groceries. I drove her to the grocery store. I took her to doctor's appointments. Pretty much all of the things that a grandchild is supposed to do. And when I was 19 years old, she passed away. It wasn't something that we expected. We take life for granted. So she wasn't the healthiest, but because she wasn't like visibly sick, you don't expect to lose somebody so soon. Because she wasn't even 60 yet. She was still in her 50s. So when she passed away, my name was on her deed. Like it was literally just me. And it was her. So at 19 years old, I'm thinking, okay, I get to move somewhere and live rent free because where I was at the time with my husband, who was my boyfriend, we were paying rent and we were paying a lot of, but you don't think to live free until you know that you could live free. So we made that transition first. We got there and we were realizing that it wasn't to her liking, right? But we also realized we couldn't afford to fix it. Things that you look at in a property and you feel like it's very simple. When you start to call and help to have it fixed, and they're telling you need $30,000 and $40,000, you're like, what? I'm a cashier. He's like, we just started painting herself. I'm like, I don't know if I can stay in the line. So it got really crazy. And then on top of that, obviously, I have other family members. So a father, a few uncles, and an aunt who all twice my senior. They were not the happiest about grandma's decision. They're like, what? She gave it to you. You're young. What are you going to do? You're going to mess it all up.
I can see that because that's usually what happens with family. I mean, unfortunately, especially with something like somebody passes away, everybody trying to warn the right way, and then people start like, well, how you get that? How you get this? So I know that could be difficult.
Literally, exactly what you said, up to and including the mourning part. Like, she was Muslim, so our job was to get her buried within 3 days. So,
right.
Like the janazah, right after the janazah, they were like changing locks and they're like going back and forth. And the whole time, this is my house. And my great mom, she's still alive. She was like, yo, you gotta go tell them to calm down. I was like, you see what they're doing to each other?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to put myself in there. Like, it was one of those things where if they didn't need to know, I didn't want to tell them.
Right.
But after a while, it got out of hand, so I had to raise my hand like, guys, nobody's doing anything with it. It's mine. And then they stopped fighting with each other and joined forces to fight me.
That's how it happens. Yeah, that's how it happens.
19, I was like, oh my God, seriously? And grandma, she said a few things.
Mm-hmm.
Just, during her lifetime, in one of our last conversations, she said, hey, I want you to be responsible for this house. I don't want anybody fighting over it. If anybody ever needs a place to live, I want us to be able to have something we can call our own because this is all we have.
Right.
And that stuck out to me a lot. I think that was my motivating factor for the things that happened afterwards. So, of course, after the family feud, me obviously not being able to afford to do much more with it, I was afraid that I would lose it. So I decided to sell it. It was the neighbor who lived next door. He introduced me to his realtor who helped him purchase his property. He said, you call this guy, he helped me, maybe he can help you. And he did. He helped me put it on the market. We listed it at $115. After a week, we were in a bidding war. I cleared about $150, and that is how I got my start.
Wow, that's crazy. So she already saw something in you that you probably didn't see in yourself early.
At all. I was like, maybe she just think I can fight really well. Like, grandma.
Well, probably that too. Nah.
It could be so many different contradicting things. Like, hey, this is a family house, share it. And also say, hey, I don't want anybody fighting over it. Grandma, how if anybody needs somewhere to live, you expect them to coexist in this one space? You know who we're related to. So it was a lot, but I do think that she, in the back of her mind, knew that I was strong enough and I had that determination to listen. A, figure it out, or B, have the knowledge already. So I wouldn't have to do too much searching. And she was really, really right. She was accurate. It was a lot of things that came, to me during my journey that I didn't think I was prepared for, but I ended up handling it really, really well. Like, for instance, when I sold the property, I cleared the $150. And then, like, 2 weeks after that, I sat down with someone who said, hey, well, why didn't you sell it for $300? And I was like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Like, this is what they said, that I could get for it, so that's what I took for it.
Right.
And then, instead of being discouraged with any of those things, I ended up taking that as an opportunity to learn. I did research. I went to real estate school. I learned about equity. I learned about economics. I learned about credit, business credit. And I learned all of these things using the internet and using heart. Like, it was random strangers. Honestly, you sell houses? I want to buy some. Where are they? Tell me about it. And I really just went head first. So fast forward the end of that year, I ended up having nonprofit. No more money, but nonprofit.
So you basically were able to pay for your own education and then getting into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it takes. It's like either you'll have a resource such as money or credit, but if you don't, you really have to look at time as a currency. Because once I ran out of money, I was kind of stuck. So I was house rich, I was cash poor, and not all of those properties were producing. So
Got you.
the ones that I purchased, I think I got 2 tenants starting out, but the rest of those properties were abandoned. They were shells. So I never built a house before, ever. I didn't know anything about contractors. That's a hard
That's a whole show within itself.
I didn't know anything about contractors. I didn't know anything about like taxes, just standard property taxes. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about the certain licenses that you should have before renting out a property. I didn't know about lead-based paint. Just a bunch of different things. But when I ran out of money, that also helped me lock in to figure out, so how do I move these parts around? Okay, what do I do to figure out how to pay these taxes? How often do you have to pay taxes? Just like the standard information that literally is everywhere out there in the world, I had the opportunity to be introduced to it. Because these are things I didn't know existed at my young age. I didn't know that property taxes were a thing. I knew about filing taxes, like income taxes, but I didn't know about property taxes. Even down to construction, I didn't know that you can get a construction license. I ended up becoming a contractor after being burnt by 3 of them. I think I should just take matters into my own hands. Yeah. Full disclosure, I've never fixed a house, but I can pull my own permits, and then I can hire and fire as I see fit, which helps me cut the cost on, a lot of my projects. So it was fun. It was a really, really fun process, and the more I learned, the more I realized that these things weren't difficult practices at all. As a matter of fact, it is very, very similar to Monopoly, like the game that we actually play. You know,
Yeah.
hours playing Monopoly. Well, instead, they should spend hours learning
Mm.
Monopoly in real life because it's the same exact. Like it's scary how identical it is. They literally mirrored that game from the real estate.
Yeah. Nah, I gotta hit this hype bell for you. You said about 10 different hype bell worthy things while you were going through that. I like that you said I went and got my license because now you can pull permits. A lot of times that's a game that GCs play, general contractors play, and people play. They like, all right, I'm gonna start this work, and then they get shut down because they didn't pull the permit, or the inspector comes and now he's holding it up because they didn't do what they're supposed to do. But if they see that you know what you're doing, then they have to come correct.
They do. They actually, and it's weird because a lot of them are actually shocked. Like when
I bet.
I'm like, no, you don't. Actually, I did that last week. All I need for you to do
is the work.
HVAC, plumbing, electrical. Make sure those wires are right because I know how it's supposed to look like. Yeah, it definitely gives you an advantage and it gives you a leg up. It's like the more that you know, the more control you have over a situation, and that's with anything, not just real estate.
And the more money you save. Like I tell artists all the time, listen, you need to understand the business of music before you get into music. Understand how studios work so you're not in there paying for extra stuff. So I just want to applaud you on that. That's super dope stuff that you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And now you're teaching people how to do it with this popular real estate course. Talk to me about that.
So that was by accident too. That's about destiny. It's like if you ask me what I would have been, I would say maybe a choreographer. I'm actually really good at rapping, so I could have been like a ghostwriter. I never wanted to be an artist, though. I never liked that. I'm a little shy. But I never thought that I would be a real estate anything, let alone a PhD bearing like woman. That's crazy to me. But I was really excited about the stuff that I started to learn. Because where I'm from, an urban community, everybody argues over money. Money. Even
because it's a lack of it most of the time.
So it's like either they're mad at people who do have it, you got that jealousy and hate aspect, or, they're just down in the dumps about them not having it. And I'm like, dude, we're all suffering from the same thing, lack of knowledge, because the money is there. I feel like my aha moment was my first time at an auction. So I went to a property auction. I got a property for $1,700. Okay?
Say it again for the folks in the back.
$1,700. But that wasn't the kicker. The kicker was I only had to spend $600 at the time. So that was like the down payment they required.
Wow.
I put my $600 down and they gave me 30 days to come up with 11. But I already had the 11 at this time. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I could have did this. I could have did this when I was a cashier because that was my job prior to. So I did that a few times and I'm thinking, oh my God, wait a minute. I can sell this property too. So then I started to put a deposit down on a property and then sell the property before the remaining balance was due as a middleman, right? So let's just say the property was $6,000. I put down $600. I got 30 days to come up with 54. It's still a house, so I'm coming out and I'm selling it for $15,000. Okay? Now I owe 54 on the property, so I'm going to give them their 54, but then the rest is my profit. Now it's wash, rinse, and repeat. I'm like, oh wait, I'm not kidding. So I'm bringing in a little bag, and I can't believe I'm doing it because I'm the youngest one there. I'm almost the only woman, definitely one of the blackest people there. This is crazy to me. I'm like, I have to tell the people that I know. And then when I started sharing my information, people were coming back to me like, oh my God, thank you so much. I made $60,000. I think at that time, the highest somebody ever made off of what I taught was $200,000.
Wow.
And this was before I was like selling it or coaching or whatever people called it. I was looking out because I was excited. I couldn't believe it. I actually had to make sure that I'm like, yo, try this real quick because I'm wrong.
Right. Right. I could.
A different place. You're like, this ain't that easy. Like, we arguing over pennies, and you can really get it like this with $600. Like, this is insane. And that's not even the cheapest property I bought. I actually bought a house for $500, and that wasn't a deposit. That was just what it. I have a deed. So
sheesh.
I'll for you. It's in one of these little folders. I'll get it to you before the end of the interview. But $500. People get taxes at least. Even if people don't readily have $500, they get taxes. Your tax return, you got $500. Don't go buy no couches. Don't go buy no TV.
Right.
Go buy a house. That was crazy to me. So that's how I started teaching by accident, just sharing. I'm a sharing person, obviously. And then after about the 5th time, my husband was like, yo, this is like an actual job. was like, no, you just explained the whole process there. You was talking for an hour.
Yeah.
Right? This one lady, the one who made the 200, she was like, thank you so much. I want to get you a gift. I'm like, thank you for what? She's like, I made 200,000. What do you want? I told her AirPods, and she did not get my AirPods. So after that,
Wow.
you know what? Let me start charging people up front, so I ain't gotta worry about that. Right?
Yeah, I feel you. You like you actually paid for that knowledge.
I did.
You had to bust your butt and learn and make mistakes, and all of that's investing within yourself. So just to pass the knowledge off is a blessing, but you definitely should be charging, and that's what you're doing. And I mean, you still giving it to people that are almost free.
Yeah,
So
almost
it's dope. Yeah, it's super dope.
I make it a point to still be for the people, because I realize not only are people the ones who need it the most, but they are also the ones who usually stimulate an economy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you look at a group of people who are in poverty, you'll think, hey, they don't have money. But when you look at how much they spend collectively, that makes up a large percentage of the wealth that is being recycled in the world. So if we are spending the most, why are we benefiting from it the less or the least? And once I realized that was an actual thing, because I'm in these auctions with these other ethnicities and I'm seeing how they getting it down. It's like 5 groups of guys, 6 groups of guys, and they're putting their money together. And then it's like 2 of us, one of us over here, the other one's over there, and we bidding against each other. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, it's not where it's at. We need to be working together.
No, and we're like raised to think, the first thing you tell your child is, hey, don't talk to strangers. Like that's what you tell your kid when they're this big, opposed to telling them, hey, this is how you learn discernment. Hey, this is how you pick the right strangers. Honestly, strangers have everything you need.
Yeah.
If the people around you had what it took to get you where you needed to go, y'all wouldn't be messed up as a whole. So you do have to outsource. You think about people who run big corporations. Yes, they hire family, but they hire family to run those businesses. More often than not, they're employing strangers to do the day-to-day stuff. Like the people who own Chick-fil-A, they didn't hire a bunch of cousins to fry chicken. It's not
Right.
They didn't have a bunch of cousins flipping burgers. They had their cousins as the district managers and the CEOs and the COOs, like high level positions. And that's because although people can sometimes be untrustworthy, contracts never lie. You put it in black and white and you let the court system do their job if it comes to that. But you got to at least be willing to give your own the benefit of the doubt, because they don't know. And if you count them out like everybody else, you really are taking away their opportunity to learn, which means you're no different than the oppressor himself.
Wow, man, that's a bar right there. See, yeah, you are good at rapping. I see you. You gotta drop a real estate investment album.
You know what? It'd be too real for the streets. I'm telling you, I don't think they're ready for it.
They gotta pay for that too. Right now, man, we with Dr.Jamisa, man. We're talking about her journey a little bit. We're talking about how she got into teaching other people the game. So out of that, were you able to start an investment group? Like, is that how it moved forward from there?
So no, that's something that I tried. So I'm about 7 years in. I started at 19, but I formally filed my LLC after that because I didn't know. So I was doing business before it was an actual business. So I had a PayPal, but I didn't have LLC and all of that stuff. Now I'm 28. So each year I try something new as it pertains to real estate. Like first I did a real estate group, then I did like a mentoring program. Then I outright just started to do courses. Like every time I try a new deal or I tried a new thing, what I would do is I would talk to people about it and I would record it on Zoom. Then I would upload it and I would sell the replay, right? It was standard stuff. And then one time, I think I was on live, maybe like IG live. This person was watching me. That was like the beginning of the journey. This probably was 3 years prior to them actually saying something to me. And then there was this college in Texas. And they said, hey, we want to add a financial literacy component to our school curriculum, right? So opposed to just the regular gen eds, we also want to add, credit, real estate, business. And I was like, okay. They said, do you have anything to send over? So I sent this person my courses. I'm thinking this person just want my stuff for free. That's what's going on here. But whatever, I sent it. I'm not a stingy person at all. So at this time, they send my stuff to the board of regents of the actual college. And within 3 weeks' time, they were reaching out to me, offering me an honorary PhD and a position to be an adjunct professor for that specific college. And I was like, what?
That's crazy. I got to hit the bell. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was insane to me. All you got to do is, write your dissertation. And I thought it was a joke. I think everything's a joke. Because sometimes guys just show up on you and be like, here go a little bit of something. I'm like, wait a minute now. Me? Professor, that's crazy. Doctor, that's crazy. But it just was a mirror of my hard work and my efforts, and just truly being a blessing to other people. The more you pour, the more space you make for yourself to be poured into. And I've always, like, since a kid, I've been that way. Well, you're the oldest of 10 siblings. You used to sharing. You sharing your cereal. You sharing your socks. You sharing whatever they need. You're the supplier for. More often than not, you're like that go-to person. And that transition into my adulthood, which was sometimes a good and a bad thing, but what always ended up working out. So yeah, that's what it was. I started to teach, and then as I started to grow, obviously Instagram is a really good networking tool. I started to get a lot of affluent people to reach out to me. Now this was prior to me being like verified, and it was prior to all of the articles as well. And I'm getting like athletes. I mean, NBA players, all-stars, Hall of Famers. I'm getting some NFL people. I'm getting rappers too, and they're like, yeah. So the label doesn't teach us financial literacy. They just do this and tell me I got to pay them this back and I get this percentage. I'm like, oh, well, in real estate, you also get, I'm like telling them, you get your appreciation as well as equity, and you get returns on your investments if you flip it. So you want to sell houses? Then I'm telling them, okay, so keep some too. So when you don't feel like rapping no more, you can have a house to live in. Same thing with the athletes. Like, listen, you want to invest in something that outlives your physical capabilities. So I'm teaching them that part too. Look, when your ankles hurt or when you retire, having real estate is just like having an endorsement. It's the same exact thing. It's something that keeps paying you over and over, and opposed to you, because wealthy people, there's a book I read, it's crazy. And they talked about how we get something called a black tax, right? It's crazy. Yeah. The extra tax you pay for being black. And that's that you pay for because of football scholarship, that person's school clothes, this person's hospital bills. It's like when you are the one that made it, a lot of times people are more interested in getting the things that you earned, right? Learning how to do it themselves. So I hit them with that. Look, you want to take care of these people forever, or you want to put them in a position to take care of themselves? Because when you're done taking care of them, trust me, they're not going to have enough saved to replenish what you put out. They're not. Because if that was their mindset, they wouldn't be giving me from the jump, right?
Yeah, it's like a luxury tax you got to pay off for that survivor's remorse that you have. So it's like, I made it, but y'all was with me, or you was around. Yeah. And sometimes they wasn't even with you. They was just around. And it's like, all right, I can keep giving you money.
You wasn't with me shooting in the gym. That is such a real thing.
Right, man. You saying some golden stuff right here, some key things right here. So I'm so glad that you sharing your real estate course with people in your course and your knowledge with people. We got people in the live chat right now saying this is exactly what I needed to hear. So salute for that. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I'm so grateful because the more I venture and I climb my ladder, I meet so many other people. Like right now, I have 3 mentors and they're all billionaires. And when I'm talking to them, we have a lot in common. Right? We have a lot in common. And I'm like, wow, so it's really that easy. I just think a lot of us from urban communities, we don't give ourselves that grace. Like we're so stuck in survival mode that we never give ourselves the opportunity to step outside of that and really live. So if you're going to bust your behind making it day to day, the least you can do is make it count. Make it count. Because regardless of what you do, whether you have a job, whether you're a startup entrepreneur, the least you can do is give yourself a chance to succeed. Like, I used a really good analogy when I was teaching the last time, and I talked about a Bugatti. People like Bugattis. People hear about Bugattis often. You pay for a Bugatti, the least you're going to pay is $1 million, right? But if you got just a Bugatti engine, it wouldn't be $1 million. You're paying $1 million for the full Bugatti because they put it together. They put the engine together. They put the seats, the wheels, the tires, the paint, whatever they got, the front console, the dashboard, so that's what you're paying them for. A lot of us are the Bugattis. We just don't see ourselves prim and polished, so we don't think that we run the same. No, we run the same. We just got to build ourselves out. So you guys in this show are listening in right now have to give yourself the opportunity to grow. Wealth is not a short-term thing. It's a long-term result of work. That's all. Yeah. It's a result of all the stuff that you did leading up to the point that you decide you don't want to do anything anymore. And that's the thing that actually, keeps on giving. So that's what I teach. I teach mothers. I teach fathers, single parents, married couples. I teach us because once we decide to grow and build our family out, we'll be less oppressed.
Yeah.
We'll be less more than power. You get a little bit of say so. That's all. Because what you don't own, you don't control. And that's why a lot of us are miserable, because we're literally at the hands of somebody else, which causes anxiety. One of my favorite books is by Dr. Taylor Jacobs. It's called We Are Sick. And they talk about how being broke is the leading cause of death amongst African Americans. Yeah. Now, you can't outright say, hey, you die from being broke. But it says that heart disease is the leading cause of death in the African American culture, right? And heart disease usually comes from stress, right?
Right.
And the most thing that people stress about when they black is
money. Right.
You're like, oh, it was the black eyed peas and the collard greens. No, because if you had money, you could have got a trainer and burnt all those calories off. It was literally your inability to be able to provide the certain care that you need. It's that stress. It's that anxiety that weighs you down. That
worry.
About it. The same thing, like even if you die by violence or some type of brutality, usually we out here getting to it not the right way, right? You trapping. You're doing something that you shouldn't be. Then you're putting yourself in harm's way. You're frontlining for money, right? Then you die. Then we got to have a fish fry for you. Why? You didn't have life insurance. When you look at wealthy people, they buy life insurance as a tax shelter, and they live from it. So black people think, oh, life insurance, you just die, you get your death benefit, you get buried. Wealthy people know you can use life insurance as an actual banking system.
Yeah.
You put money in it and
take it out.
Tax free. You hear me? Listen, even if you get a lawsuit, they can't touch it. Not only that, you get 6% interest on your money. Whereas people put their money in Bank of America, what you get?
0.00006.
So I'm preferred. So I get like 0 point. Like I'm a little bit, but it's still terrible. It's still not 1%.
Right.
It's like a 1%. It's just close to being 1%. Well, I might get like 10 cents a year on my money. So when you learn that we are actually in the same cycles that's they're in, we're just on the opposing side, it's a no-brainer to switch over.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm gonna die and need life insurance anyway. Why won't I just start with it and live from it, opposed to having to risk my life? And you get what I mean? So
but we're not exposed to that stuff. A lot of times we're not exposed to that stuff. Like we can literally in the inner city go out and talk to somebody about how to buy drugs, how to cook drugs, how to do this, where to get a gun from, how to do all the legal stuff in the world. But our access to people like yourself is limited, which is why I really appreciate what you do online and the visibility you make for other people, because we need to hear this information so we can go out here and do this. And that's what this show is for, like to share this type of information.
It is. And to not, adapt to that crab in a barrel mindset. I think it was Jay-Z who said it. Like, yeah, people are definitely crabs in a barrel. But then he also made an interesting point. How are they supposed to act? They was never in a barrel in the first place. If you stuck and you confined in a circle, a basin, when you used to thrive and being in water, like you had an expansion, you gonna panic. Hell yeah, I'm scared. Because how do I get in here? Did you do it?
And it's dark. And I don't know where I'm going. Right.
And then every person that leaves this joint don't come back. Like, I'm hearing my homies getting boiled. All I hear is hot water. It's a little crazy out there. Right. That's how it is for us. We were those crabs. They took us from where we belong. They locked us in ships. That was the barrel. They put us in this place and they said, hey, work for us. And they never stopped slavery. Everybody that I see having standard 9-to-5s, they're slaves still. Literally. You got to ask for a break. You got to ask for time off. If you get sick or you miss too many days, you're instantly being fired. You're always penalized for taking control of your time. They give you a little bit. And I'm saying this because I have a great grandma who had 3, don't quote me, maybe 3 or 4 jobs. She retired from her pension and her Social Security. If it wasn't for me, like doing the real estate thing and really retiring her, she would still be struggling.
Which is crazy.
She doesn't even get enough to pay for her copay for her doctor's appointments. Thank God she can call me and say, I need X, Y, Z.
Right.
So when you think about that, and you look at the history of the world that we're living in right now, it doesn't change. So for us to literally walk into those same traps and not try to find a way out, it's crazy. So the least I can do, because I was one of those people. I was a cashier. My grandma died in the same house, broke. She was broke. That same house that she died in, I sold a couple months after her and became richer than anybody she ever met.
But how does that make you feel that your grandma passed? She saw something in you, obviously. God gave that to her. She passes. You're trying to do the right thing by her. The family's arguing, which is haram within itself because she didn't want that in the first place.
Yeah.
And now you're able to take that instance, which could be considered a negative thing, right, or a loss, and turn that into something that where you are actually the person that can provide for your entire family through wealth, through knowledge, and through understanding of what they need to do to come out of it.
A part of it makes me angry, right? Because it's so simple. Like, it didn't take for me to be extraordinary to do this. It took for me to be consistent and determined. That's it. But that's what we are anyway, because you're consistent and determined every time you wake up and go to a job you don't want to go to. You're consistent and determined every time a bill comes and you know you don't want to pay it and you know you don't have the money to pay it, but you find a way so them lights don't get cut off. We got it in us already. Because I didn't have to do too much digging. It was like, okay, you got an opportunity, you got to make the best of it. And it was me giving myself that time to think. I think it was because I was younger, too. Older people, they're complacent, so they're fearful. This all we got, I ain't letting it go. Because they're not really willing to take that risk. I could have sold the house and messed it up. Let's So it definitely was a risk. I was just determined to make the best out of it. Because in all honesty, I did mess it up. I sold it for $150 when I was supposed to sell it for $3. But
what you learned, though.
You understand?
And you never did it again.
No, so it's a mindset thing. It's about really taking what's happening to you and repurposing that pain. You have to. Everybody's here for a reason. Everybody gets opportunities for a reason. So, you know, when it happened to me, I was like, look, I'm going to make this work. I ain't got no, what am I going to do, Phil? What? Why? That's what they get me to do, not get this right. And I say that because the agent that helped me sell it, he knew it was equity. He never gave me any other option besides sell it.
He was probably going to try to get one of his friends to buy it back.
After the sale of the property, he set up a meeting for me with the financial advisor. And they was like, yeah, give me the whole check. I was like, and then what?
Right.
You could get it back. I think it was a Roth IRA that he tried to sell to me. And I think he said when I was like 50 something, I could get it back. So I'm like, well, what interest? Like, it would be growing all of that time. So mind you, I still wouldn't have had it back today. Like, I'm only 28, so I still would have been waiting to turn 50, whatever. And I said, well, what happens in case of emergency? Like, if I need some of it, you know, because I was open-minded. He said, oh, we'll give you it back, but you'll be penalized for it.
Penalized, yeah. So it's like, but this same financial advisor didn't say, hey, go ahead and buy into a term life insurance policy and then bargains, and like you just talked about earlier, and you can be tax-free when you get the money because you're borrowing it.
Nope. He didn't talk to me about stocks. He didn't talk to me about real estate. And I remember, oh my God, I was so arrogant at the time because it literally was given. I don't trust that you're going to do the right thing with your money. Give it to me. I can do a better job. Like, that's the vibe I was getting. So that's not what was being said to me, but it was just the talking at me. It was just real weird. I didn't like it. I didn't appreciate it at all because I'm like, I got this far. I can figure it out. People don't know how much it takes to survive in the world that we come from. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not a walk in the park. You got to be street smart. You got to be book smart. You have to.
And you got to be smart and intelligent.
There's so many different things. You have to process emotional intelligence because that's one of the biggest things that I have to learn. You got to know when to help. You got to know when to say no. It's so many moving parts.
Right.
That's like, you need 2% of that to survive in the corporate world. To be your own boss. I'm like, damn, I'm overqualified.
Yeah.
They got the master's degree and they like, yo, you overqualified for this job. I was overqualified to be successful.
Right.
I was long overdue, you know, for that success. And that's the same story for a lot of us. And I remember saying, no, like, I'm not giving it to you. And they were like, so what you going to do? Just like that. And I was like, I'm going to buy a house.
Wow. Right. Very disrespectful.
I'm not going to that much. I'm going to go buy some more. Mind you, it was definitely not as easy as that shoulder shrug made it seem. Oh, shit. It wasn't a duh type of thing, but I did what I said I was going to do. So 28 properties debt-free, one hotel that my husband and I use for transitional housing for homeless people.
Wow. I gotta hit the button for that too. Hold on. I
mean, no, like, my kids, they good. Great grandma, they good. Our immediate family, they good. They have options. They have knowledge. I'm learning. I'm teaching. And nobody saw that coming.
But you've been able to actually flip it. You've done a 180 on your family's generational wealth that people talk about all the time, because it's not about the money which money helps, but you've taught them how to be self-sufficient. Like your kids are learning at a collegiate, at a almost like 40 years of experience level because of all the mentorship you got too passes on to them.
Yeah, and it's crazy because they're young. So our eldest is 8 years old, and then our youngest is 1. That 8-year-old can tell you about the LLC. He can tell you about being a producer, a consumer. He can tell you about having a service-based business. He can tell you about filing taxes. He could tell you he could tell you some stuff at 8. Then the one under him, she's 5 years old. She can tell you about an LLC. She can talk to you about real estate because they've been to closing tables with us. They've done property walkthroughs with us. They know how to assess land. So if it's acreage, they're like, well, can we build on this? Is it wetland under there? Like they can ask you questions that an adult may not be able to process depending on their, knowledge.
Yeah.
So you said a key thing too. You said it's not about money. And it's not. So when I did my dissertation, it was on generational wealth because I had to defend my real estate expertise. But if you Google generational wealth, it says money or assets passed from generation to generation, right? And I challenged it completely. I said generational wealth is literally you passing down work. But I broke down the word work as wisdom, opportunity, resources, and knowledge, right? Because everybody says, hey, you got to work smarter, not harder. But how do you work smarter? Like, what does that mean, right? And I feel like working hard is what we all do. And really, what working hard means is we're throwing our all at a situation that only requires part of us.
Right.
Some situations that only require knowledge. Ain't no heavy lifting, ain't no sash, ain't got to do nothing else but have education. There's going to be some things that you're going to need resources for. Listen, this is out of my league. Let me call a friend, or hey, maybe I got to throw a check at this because money is the resource. There's certain things where it's an opportunity there. And all you got to do is step into it. You ain't got to do nothing else. Show up. And it's going to be most of the time where that wisdom kicks in. And I get most of my wisdom from my elders in the Bible. I am super, super spiritual. But you got to have the wisdom to know what this situation is and which one of these things it actually requires. But we working hard because we giving our all every day. We pouring all of our stuff into this one pot when they don't need that. It's like if you show up to a job and they're like, yep, we need you to pour concrete on this street right here. And you got 60 gallons of water. They needed 60 gallons of concrete. You wasting the water. You got it. Mind you did this hard work pulling the water up, getting it to the job site, dumping it out. You sweating this heavy by yourself. And it was all for nothing because it didn't need water.
Right.
So you did a whole lot of nothing. And that's
right.
We get up every day, bust our behind for nothing.
Man, that's so crazy. I appreciate you sharing that knowledge with us, man. Make sure that you guys check out our website. It's in the live chat right now. If you're watching on the live stream, rosebuddsinvestments.com. How'd you come up with that name?
My grandma's name was Rose.
Ah, got you.
Simple.
Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. That's the perfect name for it. Perfect name for it. Make sure you check it out. Thank you for joining us today. We got a fast 4 questions right now. We're going to put you on the hot seat. It's not one word answers, but it's the first answer that comes to mind. All right. All right, here we go. Fast 4. What is something you wish they taught in schools?
Financial literacy.
Yeah. I could have put money on that answer.
Yeah. I'm like, damn, what else? They teach you everything else except financial literacy. Actually, they teach you how to work for somebody who has financial literacy. Like you're trained up to get a job to work for a rich person.
Crazy. All right. If you could have a dinner with 4 people at the table, who would it be?
Elon. I definitely want Elon there. Jay-Z, but I'm actually close to my dinner with him. So I don't know. I'll keep him there. I would say Elon for sure. I would say Sean Carter. Do I want to meet Barack? I think I want to meet Barack. I gotta ask him a few questions, but they gotta tell me the truth though. So it depends on if I get
No, it's your dinner, so they gonna tell you the truth.
Oh, all right, yeah. Definitely, I would say Sean. I would definitely say Elon, Barack, and then I don't think would it be Oprah. I'll say I'll bring Oprah. I think I'll bring Oprah to the table.
I got you. You say you close to that dinner with Jay-Z. So I'm gonna ask you this because you know that question that happens on social media. They say 500,000 or a meeting with Jay-Z. What's your answer?
I'm definitely like I could make 500,000 in my sleep. So I'm definitely gonna take that meeting with Jay-Z. Shit, I might even pay for the dinner. He could order whatever he wants. You gotta answer my questions. I had questions. I had very specific questions.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, we're gonna say I'm gonna ask you these specific questions next interview. All right. We'll keep
Cool.
going
Yeah, I
there.
just want to say because for y'all who listening, I talked a lot about opportunity. Y'all have to make sure y'all prepared, right? So don't get around a person. A lot of people's like, yeah, I want the dinner at Hove, and I see people like, you stupid. It's just food. You know, if you go in that meeting with intent, you're gonna leave with way more than 500,000 because you're gonna learn.
Yeah.
Some things, and you're gonna, be prepared for other opportunities that will come from you applying yourself. I'm not showing up needy or I'm just happy to be here. No, I'm gonna ask that too. So now let's talk about how I can help you, help me, help you. So make sure y'all ready. Like start living as if you are already who you want to be, and then it'll come to you.
I gotta ask you, what's one of those questions you're gonna ask him?
Okay, so I need to know who his accountant is. That's like my first question. I really want to know because it's not something that I tried to figure out. I
need to save that money.
Practically living tax free. It'd be like, and then I would talk to him about, my affordable housing initiatives and what I've done thus far. And I would collaborate with him. It would be more pitching than specific questions, but the question that I have is literally like his tax shelters and, some of his generational wealth plans. And then, the adversity that I'm sure he faces being a super wealthy person in a world where not many of us occupy that space. So, because my biggest plan is to fade to black. Like, it's not to be the most popular. Like, it doesn't. When you have money, you don't need any validation.
To be popular, right? I just need, because that's what we look at sometimes as our people. We look at being popular as validation, and it's almost like we equivocate that to being wealthy, which is not the case because that fades. Wealth doesn't fade.
Because like I'm seeking validation from y'all. Don't. Well, who said it? Fad. He said, I don't need your credit and you ain't got it to give it. And that's the thing. Like, I'm happy that you're proud of me. Hopefully I can be an inspiration, but I'm not really waiting for your claps. Like,
right. Just doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. I feel you on that. How do you feel about, I'm sorry, I'm getting off subject. How do you feel about, that's when you own your own stuff, you could do that, right? How do you feel about some of these programs that are allowing people to lease to own, where the wholesaler comes in and buys a house for you, then you rent back from them until you're ready to buy?
I think it's a good opportunity. I just think that it has to be something that you are educated on, because it can also be very predatory, right? Like if you don't know what you're doing, and your contract is not done right, because rent to own is not held up in a court of law. So let's just say you paying, and one day the landlord get weird or shifty and changes his mind, or give you a weird balloon payment, like, yo, you were supposed to pay this over 5 years, but I want it right now. You stuck, and literally everything that you paid out. Contracts are really, really big, so you gotta learn. You have to learn contracts. Anything that's in black and white. Don't overlook something. Don't assume that one thing means another. It means right. I'm doing this exactly. You cannot change your mind, because the things that are left unsaid points in one direction or another. It's like in a contract, every word has to choose a side. So I think as long as you're educated and your contracts are done right, I think it's really, really good. That's something that I replaced my, you said that I have an investment group. I replaced that with affordable housing. So I do lease options. That's what I call it. Lease purchase options for families who can't afford it and don't have the credit together. And I spend 2 of those years with them, building them up. Like, okay, get your credit right. You in here for 2 years. Don't keep paying me thinking that that's all you got to do. No.
Right.
Credit right. Build up your portfolio profile, meaning your tax returns or whatever, proof of funds you have to show. So you're available to buy it from me at the end of it. But I think if you got the good person, you got somebody who's really trying to look out, and you got that information, you'll be fine. But don't go out and be online searching rent to own, because you might end up with a Tinder swindler.
That's right. All right. One piece of advice you would give yourself before you close on that first property, other than getting 300,000.
That's a good question. What would I tell myself? What would I tell myself? I would tell myself be more confident. I felt like I second guessed a lot of things when I first started out, when I already had the answer. Going with your gut is a big thing. It sounds weird, but obedience is greater than sacrifice, right? So if you have faith and you have that belief system, your creator put this in you to be great, you really can't fail anyway. Either you're gonna learn or you're gonna earn from it. And I was real hesitant letting other people tell me things. Like naive. I was a baby. So
Yeah.
like after a while I'm like, damn, did I mess up? Did I the best thing is that I kept going no matter what.
Yeah.
But if I had that confidence, like I would have started off how I ended up, and I didn't. So I spent a lot of time trying to link with people who I thought was popular, seeking help. I remember joining a real estate group. And when I got there, everybody was trying to get their first deal and get their first deal.
But you already did it.
I had 8 houses. And then the owner of the group started pretty much pimping me out. So like she would have these like weekly meetups, and she would charge people to get in and had me in the front telling my story. And then fast forward, she made enough money to start buying houses. I'm thinking, damn, well, what if that was your real estate group? You know?
Right.
Instead of tiptoeing into my greatness, I would have just pushed straight through. But yeah, everything happened for a reason, but that's definitely something I would have changed.
That's what's up. Let me hit the hype bell. Appreciate you taking our fast forward. Before we get up out of here, give you guys a quick Reese's Peace of Mind of Pops Knows Best. You kind of just explained what it was for today, too. Prayer without work is just an empty dream. So make sure that you got to pray, you got to hope, you got to dream. You got to put the work in as well and be consistent, because it doesn't take the most talented, the smartest, or richest person. It takes you to be consistent and open-minded when things come, and to be, to be movable when things happen, and be liquid when things happen. So we appreciate you joining us today. Appreciate you, Mama.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me. For everybody that's listening, make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, at Rosebuds Investments. So both words are plural. It's the S at the end of Rosebud, and it's the S at the end of investment.
That's what's up. And congratulations, and thank you for what you're doing for the community as well with the affordable housing and with your hotel. So appreciate you.
Thank you. You have a good day.
All right, no doubt. All right, y'all, we about to get back into it, man. Get into this mix right here on Reec Radio Live. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, tapping in with us. We are gone.